everyone, it's Debbie with DoItLikeDebbie.com, a lifestyle blog helping you to do more and save more, and most recently been someone enduring this immigration journey with you all. And let me tell you, it isn't over even when your spouse makes their way to the country, because today's video update is about how we are still waiting for that social security number.
Oh yeah, have been a really long journey till now.
Yeah.
And guess what? It's still a journey because I'm waiting.
We're laughing, but it's actually really tedious. If you notice the background, it's a different wall than before because we haven't been given we
It's
haven't
like a presentation of house, like you're working for an agency, like all the time about the wall.
we haven't updated in a while because if you notice the wall, it looks a little different than the other wall that was in my other videos because we finally moved out of my relative's house and into our own place. So that took a while, not as long as waiting for that freaking social security card. Before we get started, if you could please like and subscribe, comment, share if this is of any value to you. That way the videos and this channel are able to filter out and help the right people like us who are on this journey together and continue to be even once the foreign spouse has made their way into the United States. So if you watched our last video, we entered into the country. The port of entry date was September 13th.
Yeah.
And that day we went to the airport. Fabian was stamped with the I-551. So it's the passport with the visa sticker that allows you into the country on the CR1 or IR1. And then the I-551 gets stamped by the border officer. And that is supposed to trigger and let Homeland Security know that you have entered the country. And as long as you have paid your immigrant visa fee, then that should automatically trigger the issuance of your social security card, since we all did it through consular processing. However, that didn't happen for us yet. So after we entered the country, about 2 weeks later, just because I had read all these threads on Visa Journey saying that people were waiting for their social security card and I didn't want that to happen to us. 2 weeks later, I already started called the local office close to us, and we weren't able to make an in-person appointment. We were just told to wait the whole 6 weeks from the date of entry before we even start calling again. So of course, they just want you to keep waiting. I didn't want to wait the 6 weeks, of course. So on October 13th, which was a month since we entered the country, I started calling the office again, and they were still saying like, wait another 2 weeks. It hasn't been 6 weeks yet. And they were also telling us that there was nothing in the system when they checked, and that we still weren't eligible to make an in-person appointment because it was for emergencies only, and there's only like 1 or 2 people that are actually in office doing paperwork and like seeing people with appointments, etc. So the rep did tell us though to go ahead and fax to the national line, like on the East Coast somewhere, a new SS5, which is like a brand new application for a social security, as if you've never had one before. You know, people first time applying, or like babies, they use that form to apply for social security, but it was supposed to have been automatic for us. Anyways, fax over that document plus all the ID documents such as like your birth certificate, what else?
Passport, my I-51 stamp.
The I-551 stamp and our marriage certificate, just for the hell of it.
In case.
Yeah, so we faxed all those copies over to the fax number they provided us. By the 18th, we got some letters in the mail from the local Social Security office saying that they cannot issue, based off that fax, they cannot issue a Social Security number out because they don't have the original copies of all of his documentation, like the passport, etc. So there's no way we're gonna mail that in. So we tried again to start requesting an appointment with the office to be like, well, we have all the documents, we can just show you in person if we were actually able to go into the office in person, no problem. So on Monday, October 20th, I called yet again, like I was just calling every day, it felt like, to try to make an appointment with the local office here. They said that someone would give us a call back, and they gave us like some questions like, have you been in contact with anyone with COVID recently, blah, blah, all these
those kind of things, security cross checks for them.
Like pre-screener stuff, and they said someone will call you this week. So Friday rolled around, no one called us, of course, so I called them, and they said that no, they're still waiting. There's like a long line in the queue. We can't make an appointment yet. Then later that day, someone called us to give us an appointment for the following Friday. The frustrating thing about our particular office, Social Security office, is that it's so busy and so many of their workers are working from home, and I'm pretty sure very happy about it because you can just feel that they're rushing to get you off the phone. So during that week, when we tried to make the appointment, then when we finally got the appointment scheduled, we were also calling like everything else we could. The surrounding Social Security offices who said they can't help us. The other counties, we were like willing to drive to a different county just if they could take us for an appointment. They said they couldn't because it was out of county. Then we were calling the regional office up in Northern California just to try to like help us, which they just routed the request back to our local office, which essentially did nothing. There was a whole lot of trying and pretty much a whole bunch of dead ends. The only thing that also worked was calling the national headquarters of the Social Security, and they were able to also make us an appointment on the phone with someone in the office, like someone not working from home and like just blah blah blah. By this point, we had an in-office appointment scheduled for Friday, October 30th, and then phone appointment for Tuesday the 3rd. So we just decided to keep both. We went into the office on the 30th. He presented all his documents, the SS5, etc. Basically, nothing was in the system. Like no process had triggered automatically to like auto assign him a social security number. So they basically told us that we had to start from scratch and we'll have to wait another 6 weeks from that date for Fabian to get his social security card. And there was like no way to expedite, just like no workaround any of that. So on the 3rd, when we had the phone meeting, we were asking some questions like, hey, is like his documentation in the system now at all? And the rep had told us, no, it's not. We have to wait the 6 weeks as we were told in our phone or in our in-person appointment.
Yeah, live appointment over there.
And then I was asking, why is it that some cases where like some people, like a few friends of ours have gotten their social security within 2 weeks of entering the country automatically, just doing nothing. And we're just like waiting around, whatever. And she said that sometimes it does happen. It's like actually pretty common where it somehow Homeland Security doesn't get it or something was entered wrong, so they have to like go back through the process and like double check something. I don't really know. I don't even think they have the right answers exactly. But they said it does happen, so just be aware. In case you're like just coming into the United States, be aware that this could happen to you, especially if you're in an area with a high volume social security office. And one other thing, in case you find yourself in the same boat or you're currently in the same boat, one thing to know, because we kept asking them, is he able to apply for a job or what's going on? And they did say that, you know, it's up to the employer's discretion. So like you can tell your employer that your social security is on its way, and you can show the I-551 stamp, which does show that you're like a permanent resident and authorized to work in the US. You just don't have your social yet. And during this time of the pandemic, they should be understanding of the processing times and that it's taking longer. We're starting to do like a job search now. But again, this has just been like 2 months of us just waiting first to get that social card before we even try to apply. So if you can't bear the financial burden of that, I would just like already start to apply for jobs. And other key takeaways, just prepare for the worst, which is this, waiting 2 months or more for the social to come in. And also, I just think that like when it comes to you arriving and then DHS, Department of Homeland Security, getting informed that you've arrived, they don't actually put your file into any system until the day that your file is on the top of the stack at social and they're able to like assign you something. So previous to that, like nothing gets input. So that's why you might call Social Security office and they literally have nothing on file for you, because one of our friends waited, I think like a month and a half or something for them to get the social security for her husband. And they were calling, doing the whole same thing, expecting the worst. And up until that point that they just randomly got it in the mail, there was no file or like any trace of him in the system. So I do think it's just top of stack, assigned that day or something. So if you're in this process or you're a little bit ahead, let us know how long did it take you to get your social security so that other people can reference those timelines, and How is your job hunt going? Any of those details, we'd love to know. If you could please like, subscribe, share, comment, that would be really appreciated. And we will see you, fingers crossed, when we finally get that number and that card.